Hi, everybody, and happy Friday. It is July the 11th. Glad you are with us today here on Morning in the Valley. Back home court advantage today after being on the road on Wednesday. Thank you for bearing with me as we played a road game there, but we are back at home, and we've got a full show today. Plenty of scheduling nuggets to get to, some late-breaking coaching news to pass along. And coming up here in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk with Tyler Lundblade. He is the senior guard at Belmont. And on the surface, he is an incredible story. You start digging a little bit deeper into the weeds with Tyler. It is a borderline miraculous story about his journey through college basketball. And we will get to that all coming up here in just a few minutes. If you have not done so already, please head over to YouTube, subscribe to the program there. Just search out Morning in the Valley, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And we will certainly appreciate that as we continue to grow this show just a little bit more every day as we are knocking on the door now, less than 4 months away from the start of the 2025-26 season. All right, let's fire off this morning, and we have some breaking news right out of the jump within the last couple of minutes. That is Belmont Associate Head Coach Sean Rituliano, who is no longer with the Belmont program, as he has accepted the head coaching position at Division III Colby College in Maine. He has spent the last 6 years at Belmont with Casey Alexander, promoted to associate head coach last May. And now he's moving on, going to run his own program up at Colby, again at that D3 level. So these moves, per usual, internally don't come as big shocks generally for coaches. So assume that this has been in the works for a little bit. But congratulations to Coach Rituliano for getting that first head coaching position. Now Casey Alexander has a little shuffling to do here in the middle of July as summer workouts roll on to try to find another staff member on that assistant staff. But associate head coach Sean Rituliano is off to Maine to be the head coach at Division III Colby College. All right. Today we're going to talk a lot about scheduling because for once, well, you know what? We're going to get to scheduling in just a bit, but our man is here first, and we don't like to keep our guests waiting here on Morning in the Valley. He is the senior guard at Belmont University, and he is Tyler Lundblade. Tyler, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your subscribing to the if I'm not 10 minutes early, I'm late. So I appreciate I'm sure Coach Alexander has you guys pretty much on the straight and narrow when it comes to being on time. Yes?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
I assume so. Coach Rituliano, heading off to be a head coach at Colby College in Maine. What's your experience been like with him in your year plus there at Belmont?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I'm super happy for him. Get started his head coaching career, moved back closer to home. He's been great. We kind of split up into position groups with all the coaches. And so he's been my position coach the last year, and our relationship is great. He's been there, ups and downs, especially last year. I had a lot of ups and downs, especially early in the year. He was with me, the whole way. And so I'm super happy for him, happy for his family. And yeah, it couldn't happen to anybody better.
Your journey, I said, from the surface, your journey has been pretty remarkable. You start digging into the weeds a little bit on it, and as I just said a minute ago, it's borderline miraculous. I don't know that there are if there is a handful of players ever in college basketball that have walked on to 3 different programs and have earned scholarships at all of those programs. Just for the folks that are not, we'll give the nickel speech. Or you walk on at SMU, you earn a scholarship, coaching change, you leave, you go to DCU, you walk on, you're there 2 years. They sort of oversign, you get squeezed out. You come to Belmont, Coach Alexander doesn't have space, you walk on, and then you're the best 3-point shooter in America last year. What has this journey been like for you? Just betting on yourself from the jump here and getting to where you are today.
Yeah, it's been remarkable. I think, you say, betting on yourself, and that's true, but it's just, I mean, there's no other way to explain it other than just seeing God's hand in the whole thing. My faith is super important to me and my family. And I think that, every step of the way, it's just been guided by his his direction and trusting in his plan. And if you would have told me in my fourth year of college, I would have been at my third school and have had all the ups and downs, like I would have thought you were crazy. I love the staff at SMU. I thought I was going to stay there forever. I still talk to Coach Jank to this day. But yeah, it's been just a whirlwind, really, looking back. Every time that something happened, like a big change happened, it happened so quick. When I left SMU and went to TCU, all that happened in like a matter of 8 days.
Yeah.
And then the same thing when I got in the portal from TCU, I was enrolled at Belmont in 8 days. So it's just been so crazy, but I'm so grateful for every stop. Every stop has provided something different. Like the first stop at SMU, I got to really learn. Like Kendrick Davis was our best player, and he was kind of the vet that took me under his wing. So there, I really learned like, okay, this is what it looks like to work hard. Like he was a gym rat. And at TCU, like I was guarding, almost NBA guys and NBA guys every single day. So you had no choice but to get better. And then I think by the time I got to Belmont, it was time to let all that work show. But the Lord's been so good. I mean, it's just been such a whirlwind, and I'm so grateful for every stop. And I think, being on the other side of it now, like I'm so much more grateful to have the success now than I probably would have been if I had it immediately. And I've had a lot of inspiration as a walk-on because my brother did it. He turned down probably 11 or so offers in high school to go play football at Oklahoma State, and ended up playing his freshman year, put on scholarship, all conference, played 4 years in the NFL. So I knew it was doable. And, seeing somebody like him do it right in front of my eyes, just like, okay, I can do this too. But yeah, it's been crazy. Like I tell people and they're just like mind blown about my journey. I don't think you could have written it, it's definitely never happened before. So it's been really cool to live out.
Kids walk on. That happens 3 times at 3 different schools. That's a different thing, but earn scholarships every time. It is absolutely bananas. You are not a big Twitter X guy overall, but I was doing some cyber stalking today, and I see that on April 24th you did post bet on yourself. What prompted you that morning or afternoon, I guess, to put that out and sort of articulate your journey a little bit?
Yeah, I think I don't remember the exact date, but it was probably like when the portal had closed, or
April 24th. So yeah, about that time.
So the day, that was when the portal had closed, and I had people on Twitter saying I was going to leave or I should leave, or all these other guys are leaving, chasing money, and I've been on the other side of playing, and Belmont's been so good to me. For coach to even take me late was a miracle in itself. I mean, they had their whole roster set, and to take a walk on late after I missed all the summer workouts, like I owe Belmont the world. I love it here. Nashville's incredible. My family used to live in Nashville. And I think, you don't have to go chase the money and go chase, these high major schools to put yourself in a position to go to the NBA. Like look at Ben Shepherd, look at Dylan Windler, Ian Clark, all the guys that we've had, guys from the Valley, like AJ Green. Like you don't have to do that. And I think, in my career, I've always believed that I could be that guy. And it's, last year I kind of got to show it. And I think that, I'm really excited for the jump that I know I can make this year. And so nobody had heard from me about portal or not. And I just was like, screw it. I'll put a tweet out, bet on yourself. And so I got 18 likes. I was pretty proud of that.
Just from a player perspective, and I guess from the outside, we always look at it almost seems odd that kids have to report to the world that I'm coming back, because it almost feels like it's the default is, especially if you have any kind of success, you're leaving. Just from the player side of it, did you feel an obligation or people sort of badgering you about, are you coming back? Are you just trying to quiet people down?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous now, like that, guys they play their freshman year and it's like put out I'm coming back statement, like you re-signed in free agency. Like, I don't know. I've always thought that was kind of corny. But like I had fan pages from all these other schools saying I should get in the portal, and all these, sleazy agents DMing me, trying to get me into the portal and take money from me. And, it was just, I think it's kind of corny, but if you look at our roster, like we had a lot of guys come back. We maybe not percentage of minutes, but in terms of like numbers of guys, I think we have 11 returners, which is probably one of the highest in the country. But like me, Sam, and Brigham, and all these guys, Drew, like none of us put out like statements saying we were coming back. I just think we all knew, like as soon as like we had a group chat together kind of late in the season, and we were like, yeah, we're all staying. Like there's no point. We're not even thinking about it. So we knew like what we had and what we could bring back. But yeah, I think all the, I'm coming back, I'm returning, like you're just 4 years ago, you would have never thought that you had to put out a I'm coming back statement. Now 40% of all the players in the country are in the portal. So it's just it's crazy.
When you come to Belmont and you are walking on at your third school, and to your point, it was late, and what were your expectations for the year? I mean, were you just hoping to just kind of finish out the run and just glad you had a landing spot?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of both. I knew I probably should have been playing more at TCU. Selfishly, I knew I could play, and I just never got really the opportunity. And so looking around at mid-major schools and places with style that fit my style, places I knew I could go play, like Belmont was number one on our list. And so when I got here, I thought I played really well in the summer. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is a place I could go and, be the guy, one of the guys. And so, it just looked really appealing. And then in the fall, like I really struggled. So at that point, my mindset kind of shifted to just let me get on the court and have an opportunity. It's something I hadn't had all my college career. And I knew I was coming here. I knew I was going to play. And I just trusted myself and trusted the Lord that when I got out there, I would show what I could do. And that's kind of how the season went. I didn't play much early on. We played Lipscomb and Furman. I think I played like 12 and 14 minutes in those games, spotty bench minutes. And then kind of the first road game at Air Force, I played pretty well and played closing minutes and just kind of built from there. But I knew, I just wanted to play. It had been, 4 years since I played meaningful basketball. And I just wanted the opportunity to be on the floor. And, I knew and trusted myself, and that when I got out there, I could show what I could do and just build,
To your point, your first 3 years of college basketball, you played 52 total minutes. I mean, was there any, and I think you've sort of alluded to this answer, but I mean, was there any part of you just like, you know what, man, maybe this just isn't for me and I need to just go get my degree and move on? Or were you just hell bent on, I'm going to find a place and prove, whether I'm proving somebody right, somebody wrong, I've got something to prove?
There were definitely moments of both. I was so frustrated at times, especially at TCU. Like we'd be in games where we're up 30 and we're playing the starters with 15 minutes left in the second half. And I go in for 30 seconds at the end of the game. And I'm like, I know I'm not this bad. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm not as far down as, I'm getting the opportunity to show for. And there were definitely moments where you doubt yourself and you're thinking, man, like, is this ever going to work out? Like, am I really built for this? I remember one night, probably 2 weeks before I got in the portal and came to Belmont, I texted my dad at like 3 a.m. and I was just distraught. Like I was like, it's not going to work out here. Like, I don't know if I should even keep playing. Like, I have 1 year left in my degree here. I can't really go anywhere else because I'm a rising senior. We had Coach Jank had called Casey and he's like, well, the roster's done. So we had, that door kind of seemed closed. And so we just, I was really stuck in a bad place. But I didn't let it deter me. I knew I was put here to play basketball. I knew I had a gift. And that's the way I've always looked at it. Is like, if I don't do everything I can to maximize the gift I have, I'm doing the Lord a disservice, because somebody else could have had it and they could have done way more than me. And I just knew a way would present itself. And I didn't know that it would be walking on at Belmont. I didn't know where it would be. I didn't know if I'd have to finish another year at TCU, graduate, and then grad transfer. and have 1 year or leave immediately and have 2. So it was just a lot of both. I think the whole journey I've been, as you said, like hell bent on making it happen. But there's definitely moments, dispersed in there where you're thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this. So I definitely had like that moment at SMU, when Coach Lanier pulled me in his office and was like, yeah, we're not going to keep you on scholarship. And I was just completely shocked. And I remember leaving that room and just like going up to one of the club sections in the arena and just like bawling, crying for 20 minutes. Cause it's like, I climbed this hill, like I made it. And just to have all that pulled out from under you, completely unexpected, was really tough. And then, you kind of cry for 20 minutes and then it's like, all right, what's next? You kind of move on pretty quick. And I think that's been really good for me. That's kind of the mentality I've always had. I haven't really I don't dwell on the negatives for too long, I feel like. And so I've just kind of always thought about what's next. And that's allowed me to kind of take all these punches that my career's given me and just keep moving forward.
When did you officially get on scholarship at Belmont?
I hopefully here pretty soon.
Yeah,
I signed my scholarship papers this summer.
Awesome.
So I'm in a summer class and I think it's paid for. So yeah, we're good now.
Well, good. Just unbelievable that has happened 3 times for you, and that you've earned it 3 times. I think that's the part, that you have earned this in 3 different stops. You were 1 for 7 from 3-point range in your career before you walked in the door at Belmont. And last year, you set a program record with 104 makes, and you lead America in 3-point percentage. We can all have the confidence and the hubris in the world that we want, that, man, when I get my chance. Did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine that would be the way you were able to produce last season?
No, I mean, no. Short answer, no. I mean, it was, I think we talk about this all the time with my parents. Like, it's just been, unexplainably more than we could have asked or imagined. Like I just wanted to play, and I couldn't have dreamed I'd be, breaking records and, number 1 in the country in 3-point shooting, and, establishing myself as one of the, better guards on the team and in the league. Like, Ephesians 3:20 is a verse that we held on to the whole year. Lord can do unexplainably more than we could ever ask or imagine. And it's been so true this year. I mean, if you would have told me that's how this year would have went, as really my first year playing college basketball, I would not have believed you. Maybe if you told me this was year 3 or year 4, after I've been in the program for a few years. But it was, incredible. And I think it's been even more fulfilling knowing the journey I took to get here and to have this year. But yeah, I mean, it was incredible. Even some games, like even after the Bradley game, I was just like, did this just happen? I just played 40 minutes and hit 8. Like, I can't believe this happened. And we won on the road. Like, JP hit a game winner. I had, 25 or whatever. Like, this is real, and that's one thing I kind of dealt with a lot early in the year when I started to really play a lot, was kind of like the imposter syndrome. Like, I've been on the bench for so long and I haven't played. Like, am I really this good? Like, can I carry this load? You know what I mean? And so that was, honestly something I really had to work through for a little bit. But then I just, kind of got used to it and was like, okay, no, this is what I worked for, and it's, my time to shine. And so, yeah, it's just been, the year was incredible, so grateful. And so, yeah, just way more than I could have thought.
That 11-day stretch in February against Bradley, Missouri State, Valpo, and SIU, you hit 30 threes over a 4-game stretch, and we're just on a heater, unlike we see pretty much anybody outside of, the Steph Currys of the world. I mean, just from the imposter syndrome, from, okay, I just hit 8 or 9 in that first game, and then it just keeps coming. How fast does it take, or how much time, I guess, does it take for that switch to flip from, do I belong here, to give me the damn ball because I'm shooting into a swimming pool right now?
Yeah, it's actually funny because, we had, my mom, early on, my mom would always kind of like, hey, you're, this spot in the country in 3-point percentage right now. And I'm like, all right, don't tell me, like, then I go have a bad game, and she's like, "Oh, you dropped at 7." And so it's funny, before the Bradley game, I had like kind of a week or two where I didn't shoot the ball well. And I was like, I don't know, 25th or 27th. So I was like, all right, it was cool to be in the top 10. Like if I just finish over 40, I'll be happy. And then I have the Bradley game, and I'm like, all right, that was pretty cool. Feels good to have one of these games where you really break loose. And then I guess SIU at home was the next one, or
Missouri State, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, Missouri State. And then I hit 9 that game, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. And it just kept going. And I think at that point, you're kind of in that flow state where, like, as soon as it touches your hands, like, and then you have a window, like, you just don't even think it, just, it's going in. And so that was just where I was at. I think that's, as a shooter, that's the mentality you have to have. Like, you can't think about the previous misses. You just have to be unconscious. And it's a lot easier to be unconscious when you're shooting the ball like that. But also, you don't want to ride the highs,
right?
So I just kept the same approach. Like, I didn't change my warm up. I didn't change my pre-practice or my post-practice shooting. Even after the bad games, it all stays the same. And you trust that the percentages are going to even out. And so, I kind of fell into a rut, and then I had that incredible run. And even, within some of those games, like at SIU, like, I think the first half I was like 1 for 4 or something. And you're like, all right, it's going to go in the second half. Like, it has to, the percentages say that it has to. And then I hit a couple early, and it just started to roll. So yeah, it's definitely fun when you're riding those highs, but it's going to come down at some point. And so I just try to stay pretty even keeled throughout it.
You got a fancy little plaque for being the Division I leader in 3-point percentage. Number one, where is that plaque right now?
So I actually they gave me 2. They sent one for me and one for the coach's office. I actually have both. So one is back. I went back home for July 4th. So one is in our man cave back home, and the other one is still sitting in the box in my apartment. I haven't put it anywhere.
So in your dating life, how far into the "Hi, I'm Tyler" do you slide in the? By the way, I led the country in 3-point shooting last year.
That's probably the last thing I'd ever mention.
I mean, look, man, you get that thing on a chain, maybe. I mean, you make an entrance.
That would be an incredible chain if I had the entire plaque on a chain.
And we're trying to change lives over here at Morning in the Valley. We'll do our best. So, listen, you're going now into your final year. What have the workouts been? You are slowly checking off the boxes of this is the last fill in the blank. The last time I will have the first of this, the last first practice, the last first summer workout, and so on. How have you been sort of attacking this summer, especially riding the high from last year with probably higher expectations going into a season than you've ever had?
Yeah, well, it's actually not the last one. I do have another year after this.
Okay, good. Gee whiz, we're going to be Dr. Lundblade before it's over. So
because I redshirted at SMU, and then my last year at TCU, I had a surgery and only played 6 games. So I got a medical redshirt. So I'll have a 6th year.
You going to use it? You plan to use it?
I hope not. I hope I be Ben Shepherd and go to the NBA. That'd be pretty sweet. But every option's open right now. I'm not really thinking about that. I'm just focused on this year. And, in terms of the workouts and stuff, it's been a really refreshing off season because now I actually have like legitimate, tangible evidence of what I did last year. Like, there's film out there of, 30 plus games and things I did well, things I struggled with. And so it's been nice to not have to go back and say, okay, this practice in November, I played well. Like, let's see what I did. Like, I have games to go watch. And so that's been nice. And that's another reason why, it was easy for me to stay here, because I had a staff that I played under for a year. They know like Luke Smith, our player development guy, knows my game in and out. So we work together every day. We early on in May when we kind of started late April when we started our spring workouts again, like we sat down and came up with a plan of how we were going to approach everything and things we were going to work on. And we just got to work and kept going through May. And then we just had all of our team workouts. We finished up on Wednesday. And so we're back at it next week when he gets back from recruiting. And so it's been good. thinking about all the ways I can start to round out my game. Doing a little bit more off the bounce, showcasing, some of the other stuff I can do, especially having a bigger role this year, and kind of building into that, but not trying to, be a different player, but just expand and do the simple things well. And then, honestly, the biggest thing for me this year is becoming more of a vocal and like central leader for our team, because, last year I came so late in July. I didn't really know anyone. I was just trying to prove, myself to get on the court. And so I didn't really have an opportunity to kind of become that leader. And so Coach Alexander's, we sat down earlier this offseason, and that was, his main thing was like, look, we know what you can do on the court. We know what you need to get better at. It's pretty simple. But our biggest thing for you is, can you become, the leader of this team and be one of the most vocal guys? Because, like this past year, I didn't have really the opportunity. Carter and JP had already been here for the whole off season, really, and I missed all of that. So I was just playing catch up, trying to, fit in. And now it's, I have the opportunity to not, to be a part of the team, but also to set myself, apart as, one of our central leaders and earn a captain spot and move forward in that aspect of my game.
The thing about your offensive shooting that is really, again, remarkable to me is you are able to catch the ball at times, coming off screens, whatever you may be doing. You catch the ball and you begin your shot. You are not remotely squared up to the basket, and you are able to almost in air pivot in air and square yourself while you're in the shot. Where does that come from, to where like fundamentally, I'm sure it's like, this isn't supposed to work, but my goodness, it does work a lot. Where does that ability come from with you?
I think it's just like the maniacal work ethic I have, and like the detail oriented nature of my training. I don't go in the gym and just shoot spot shots. I did when I was younger, trying to build my form and repetition, like in high school. But really when I got to probably like my senior year of high school and into college, like I'm not getting spot shots much anymore. So they're great to do at the end of my workouts and stuff. But, I work on every single possible pivot, every footwork, curling right, left, hopping into it, curling left, right, hopping into it off my left foot, side steps, turning in air. I do a lot of like, challenging shooting and creative stuff with Luke Smith, our player development guy. So like stuff that's going to challenge my eyes, catching the ball outside my frame, turning in it. We work on those turns all the time. Just working my way around the arc, squaring in air. And that's the things that you see like the best shooters in the NBA do. Duncan Robinson and Kyle Korver are two guys I watch a ton of. Luke Kennard is one of my favorite players. So I've just watched hours and hours and hours of them shooting, and Klay Thompson too. You're not going to, in order for me to get a shot off, I can't rely on having my feet perfectly set and being on balance every single time, because I'm not going to have the best pass, or I'm going to get bumped off my line, or the screen's going to move a little bit and I'm going to have to adjust. And so it's just, hours and hours and thousands of reps of, every single footwork and shooting off balance, or, making all my shots off the glass for a couple spots in my workout, or like just trying to challenge myself so that when I'm in those game situations, it's a lot easier. Like I was listening to a podcast with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Cam Johnson literally yesterday, and they were talking about, like, if you're a good shooting guard or wing in the NBA or in college, like if you shoot 100 spot shots, you're probably making upwards of 80 or 85, 90, but you shoot 45% in the game. So that discrepancy is from, running in the game, being tired, having a defender, so I don't want to shoot 85% in my workouts. I want to shoot, 50 or 60 and it'd be really challenging. So that's kind of been the bigger jump, I think, that I've made the last couple of years of my training that's really showed out on the court.
The team last year, you win 22 games, you make it, you get a taste of Saturday in St. Louis for a great game with Drake, coming up a little short there. How important is it for you in what we hope your last year on your way to getting picked and taken in the draft there? But before your time at Belmont is done, how important is it for you guys to cut down the nets there in St. Louis and be able to get to the NCAA tournament?
I mean, that's the only option for us. That's our number one goal. We had a position group meeting the other day with, now I'm in Luke Smith's group with Coach Hart leaving, and we wrote down our individual goals, our team goals, and like what we're doing to achieve those. And I don't think there was a single person that didn't say either go dancing or win the Valley. So that we were so close last year. In a game we thought we easily could have won, should have won, can't change it, but we know what it's like, and especially having so many guys from that team back this year. We only brought in 3 new guys. So we're, that's what our mind is set on. And it's a big goal, lofty goal, and it's super early, but it's one game at a time. Like all the games in November build up to that weekend in March. All the games in December build up to that weekend in March. So that's the ultimate goal, but we can't, be so focused on that goal that we lose sight of, our day in, day out.
Last question before I let you get out of here, and I appreciate the time this morning. Belmont making the shift from Under Armour to Adidas. Has the big Adidas fairy showed up yet on campus?
A little bit here and there. We're super excited. I've been at Nike schools, Under Armour schools. Now I'm Adidas for the first time, so I'm excited. Been wearing some Donovan Mitchell shoes all spring, which I really like them. I think because the deal, just got announced like early July. Like our summer workouts ended on Wednesday, so we really haven't had a huge haul. But some of the coaches got some gear to wear to go out recruiting, and I know we got a lot of boxes of stuff sitting around, but we just haven't opened them up yet. So it'll be some excitement when we all get back together in August, seeing the big gear drop.
Christmas in August. Nothing wrong with that. Tyler Lundblade, the best shooter in the country last year. Congratulations on this remarkable career you have just persevered through, and best of luck this season, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. There is Tyler Lundblade. I don't know that it can be just highlighted, underscored, all of it enough that as good as he was last year, I voted him first team All Missouri Valley Conference last year. And again, as I talked about, that my vote at times is tainted by what I saw with my own eyes, and watching him play against Murray State. He just tattooed the Racers at times, and his shooting ability was just nuts. But I was like, the fact that he was a walk-on last year, I just think was ultimately underreported and underappreciated. And the fact that he has now walked on at 3 universities, at 3 Division I basketball programs. And we're not talking, to quote our good friend Harry Schrader, he didn't walk on at East Toenail State. I mean, he walked on at SMU, and he walked on at TCU, and he has walked on at Belmont, and he has earned scholarships at all 3 of those places. And last year, when he finally had his chance, my goodness, did he take advantage of it. And so congratulations to him. Again, just perseverance is the best word I can have, to go through the injuries and then to go through the disappointment of being told, I'm sorry, we don't need you, not once but twice, and to go bet on himself one final time. Unbelievable. And to see that he shot last year, made 104 threes and shot 48.1%. He's the only player in the country in the last 9 years since they moved the line back to make 100 threes and shoot at least 48%. In the history of college basketball, which of course, at least the history back to 1987, that includes the 3-point line. So the last basically 40 years, one of 6 players in the last 40 years to score 400 points in a season, shoot at least 45% from 3 with at least 6 attempts a game, and have a true shooting percentage of at least 70%. He is an offensive weapon. And Casey Alexander may not have known exactly what he was getting a year ago at this time. This year, he 100% knows what he has. And the Missouri Valley, most certainly on notice for Tyler Lundblade and the Bruins coming up here in 25-26. All right, now we're going to get to some scheduling news this morning, and a lot of scheduling news around the Northern Iowa women's program. Congratulations to you, Tanya Warren, and the Panther program, the first Missouri Valley school to officially announce our non-conference schedule is here. Read it, enjoy it, love it. And oh my goodness, Tanya Warren has loaded up the UNI schedule this year. They will play 4 teams that were NCAA tournament teams last year: Creighton, Iowa, South Dakota State, and Iowa State. 4 home games, 6 road games in the non-conference. The home games: North Dakota State, Iowa, Northern Arizona, South Dakota State. Roadies at St. Louis, Creighton, UNLV, Toledo, Iowa State, and St. Thomas. There are some heavy hitters on this schedule. There are, looking at the net rankings from a year ago, one more time, and I'll say it every time, that the past results do not indicate future performance. But last year, there were 6 teams on this schedule that were in the top 100 of the net. There were 5 teams on this schedule that were in the top 50 in the net a year ago, and they're going to get 2 of those games in their building, as South Dakota State's going to come in, the preeminent mid-major program, a year ago, I believe 29-3, won a game in the NCAA tournament. They were 43 in the net. Iowa is coming to Cedar Falls to play at the McLeod Center. I am old enough to remember a Iowa head coach, at least on the other side of the building, on the men's side, saying there's no value in playing mid-majors anywhere like a Northern Iowa, like a Drake. Iowa's women are coming to Northern Iowa. They were 24th in the net last year. They're going to play at Creighton, at UNLV, at Toledo, at Iowa State. They have, if the numbers hold from last year, 4 quad 1 games, 2 more quad 2 games. And again, Iowa will be in a quad 1 at home, South Dakota State being a quad 2 at home. This is a absolute gauntlet of a schedule that Tanya Warren obviously feeling good about her team. You lose some heavy hitters out of that program from last year, Maya McDermott amongst others, but she obviously likes what she has because she is going to battle test her team before they get into the Valley coming up this upcoming season. Let's see. We have Bradley. The Bradley women have announced their MTE as Coach Kate Popovic-Goss, who at this point, the calendar, if I'm reminded, she should be about 8.5 months pregnant, but she's going to go enjoy some sunshine here right before it's time to give birth to baby Goss. That they will be playing in the Fort Myers tip-off November 28th and 29th. It's a 2-game event. It's a 4-team. It'll be bracketed 2 games they will either get some combination of Abilene Christian, Northwestern, and Missouri. If I had to guess, and these have not been announced just yet, if I had to guess, Bradley will be teamed up with Northwestern in the opening game. Kate Popovic-Goss played her college basketball at Northwestern. She was an associate head coach there. I'm just going to guess that they're going to match those 2 up, and we will. Then they would either play Abilene Christian or Missouri in round 2. Hasn't been officially announced, but we love stories in sports, and certainly there is a story there down in Fort Myers on Thanksgiving week. On the coaching side of things, Bradley has announced the hiring of Austin Cox. Brian Wardle announcing that the new director of basketball operations at Bradley. And look, Dobos are usually a little bit further down, sort of the rungs of the hierarchy, I suppose, if you want to say that, in terms of the coaching staff in general, between the associate head coach, assistant head coach, and then the Dobos come in underneath that. But the thing that struck me about this hiring is just Cox, the last 3 years, has been the chief of staff at UTEP. And his job description there at UTEP was he was the liaison between the head coach and the administration, and he also led NIL strategy. Now, NIL strategy, certainly in the revenue share era, those are all that's all very important, quite obviously, right now, sort of the liaison between head coach and administration as well. Dobos have different responsibilities everywhere, but that description really screams general manager these days. And, Murray State, they have hired a general manager for Ryan Miller in Ernie Kuiper, and that's basically his role. He is the liaison between the administration and the head coach. He's in charge of the, working with the NIL, the rev share type of stuff. So if what Austin Cox did there at UTEP, those roles slide over to Bradley, that's almost kind of what it would become, is sort of a general manager or he's just a director of basketball ops, and I'm just reading stuff from the tea leaves that doesn't exist. But certainly, these Dobos are oftentimes, they are guys that have been, managers, grad assistants, and then they graduate up to that director of basketball ops level. Well, Austin Cox has some experience, and he's been doing this job sort of in that range for a while. So a very solid addition to Brian Wardle's staff there at Bradley. Indiana State, we talked about this the other day. The commitment, the signing has now become official as they have signed the 22-year-old out of Belgium, Jovan Bugenout, a 6'2" point guard, and I nailed that name because I practiced for the last 48 hours. Jovan Bugenout. He is going to have 2 years of eligibility remaining, coming in as a 22-year-old, just turned 22, again, playing professionally in Belgium, but potentially a guy you can slip into that starting role at the point guard spot, but somebody that can certainly come with plenty of pedigree. He's a man and has been playing professionally, as I said, there in Belgium, and will be able to help Coach Matthew Graves there in Terre Haute right away. We have an old friend alert from Terre Haute as Tyreek Key, former All-Missouri Valley Conference player. He's going to be in Vegas this week, hopefully next week and a half, playing with the Raptors Summer League team. He is signed with the Raptors, an all-freshman player in 2018, second team All-Missouri Valley Conference, most improved player in the Missouri Valley in 2019, and then he was first team All-Valley in 2020 and 2021. The Raptors will be playing the Bulls tonight in their opener in Vegas in the Summer League. That's a 7 p.m. Central Time tip, and that game will be airing on NBA TV. Some scheduling news for the Sycamores. They will be playing at Southern Illinois, Edwardsville, SIUE for those of us here in the Midwest, of course. That game was originally, Alex Rosinski, the one of the scheduling guys, that game was originally scheduled for November the 18th. It has been moved, Alex Rosinski reporting, to Monday, November the 10th. So it's moved up a week for whatever reason. Year two of a 3-year series. Usually when you get 3-year series, it's a home and home, and then you have a money game attached. So don't, this is part of the home and home. Obviously, the 2 games in Terre Haute, 1 game in Edwardsville. Look, from a metric standpoint, this isn't one of those that we're going to get all excited about. Last year, look, Edwardsville was 217 in the KenPom, but they were the OVC tournament champs. They went to the NCAA tournament as a 16, and so good. Great. Bart Torvik's projections this year, 226. Again, metrically, nothing to get super excited about, but a game that against a team that can be a little feisty over there, and Indiana State's going to have to play well to win, but that game has now been moved to November the 10th as we move to page 2 of the notes. This one, I had a tip it was coming, but it was announced yesterday. Xavier announcing their schedule. Murray State will be playing their exhibition game at Xavier on October the 18th. That will be the first official basketball performance for the Racers of the 25-26 season under Ryan Miller. Of course, they're going to the Bahamas at the end of August, but playing in front of a crowd there at Xavier. Ryan Miller has said they will play 2 exhibition games, 1 at home, 1 at away, 1 on the road. This is that road game. I'm interested, and it's funny now that how often you're going to see as the big boys don't want to play the little guys anymore. And I said little guys. The big boys don't want to play the mid-majors anymore. And they're finding ways, whether it's MTEs or we just don't want to play them. The Ben McCollum theory of there's no benefit to it, yada yada. And it's almost like, well, hey, we'll pat you on the head. We'll bring you in and we'll play an exhibition game against you because there's nothing to lose there other than maybe some support from your fan base that's going to get overanalyze and get upset about the results of an exhibition game. But the Racers will be in Cincinnati and taking on Xavier there on October the 18th. So it just, again, we won't play it when it matters. We'll play it in an exhibition. And I hope that these are the types of games that the Racers and everybody in the Valley can still continue to get as the landscape continues to evolve, and not necessarily for the better on the mid-major side. We did have one game yesterday, though, that the Racers did announce, and this was kind of the last stray date that had not been at least attached to a game. Murray State will host Bellarmine coming up December 6th at the CFSB Center, the 4th and final bye game the Racers will have this year. The only things left on Murray State's schedule at this point that are mysteries from a non-conference standpoint on July the 11th, which is actually from a big picture, that's pretty good for trying to get a non-conference schedule put together. They have a home exhibition game that they have yet to announce, date or opponent. That's fine. We'll push that to the side. They're playing Little Rock at home. We know that. That's the back end of a home and home that was started 2 years ago on the road. No date has been provided for that yet. And then the Field of 68 opening day showcase announcement, which if you're watching those Field of 68 guys, Goodman and Doster and all those fellas, it's those announcements are coming, and we should know that soon. That game's first game of the year, first day of the year, November the 3rd, but no announcement on the opponent just yet. And that's it. Other than that, they're all set and ready to roll. The Bellarmine last year, again, another 200 team, but whatever you want to put into the projections for this year, Bart Torvik has them at 324. Awesome. His defensive efficiency projections for this year, 365 teams in Division I, Bellarmine at 364. So one of the worst defensive teams projection-wise in the country coming to Murray State. Everybody's doing backflips. You maybe go try and score 100 points and help those metrics, because that's all we ever seem to talk about. The one other note from that day is that Murray State will be honoring their 1999-2000 Ohio Valley Conference Championship team 25 years later. For whatever reason, back in the day, that team never got a championship ring. And so they are going to honor that team, bring them back. I know there's been some behind-the-scenes movements there, but they're going to bring them back and honor them with their championship rings. And we got a reason. Let's bring them all back, celebrate a team 25 years after winning a conference championship. So that'll be a good night there at the CFSB Center coming up on December 6th. Big scheduling news for our friends at Northern Iowa and Ben Jacobson, as Rocco Miller, our friend there, the scheduling guru, announcing that happy Christmas, if you will, as you and I heading to California to take on St. Mary's December the 22nd. This should be a quad one game, which is all we worry about. A quad one game there on the road at St. Mary's. Quad one on the road, that's somebody in the top 75. Bart Torvik has St. Mary's 55 heading into this year. They should be, barring something collapsing, a top 75 team this year. So a really nice road game there for UNI. Other games they've got this season, they're going to play Wichita State. They're going to UC Irvine to return a home and home from last year. They've got that Acrisure series out in California. Got to make some trips to California this year, where they're going to play two of the three schools in their pod that are Nevada, Tulsa, or Loyola Chicago. So appears to be a pretty solid non-conference slate for Ben Jacobson and the bunch. Also, Alex Rosinski reporting that UNI now has a guarantee game locked up with South Dakota State coming in November the 9th, $75,000 for that guarantee, which generally below market value. So good on UNI, saving a couple bucks there. This is Brian Peterson. He's been an assistant coach under Eric Henderson for many years. Henderson went on to Drake, of course. Peterson promoted to the head coach there at South Dakota State. Again, metrically, I don't know. Bart Torvik's got him at 151 this year, so sort of in the, they're in that quad 3 range. That not great, but either way, another game for the home slate there, and certainly a regional matchup with South Dakota State coming in on November the 9th. And finally this morning, America's great nightmare, the expansion of the NCAA tournament. We talked on Wednesday that it appeared it was coming. It appeared it was coming this week, and the tournament going from 68 up to 72 or 76. And after the men's and women's basketball committees both met this week, nothing yet. And America sort of rejoicing in a lot of corners because the general rule of thumb right now is everyone in America that is fan of college basketball, and the media, nobody cares. But there's no, I've seen no one standing on the street corner banging on the drum saying we need to expand this tournament outside of conference commissioners. That's it. Those are the only people you see. And so Dan Gavitt, who is the senior vice president of basketball for the NCAA, putting out a statement after the meetings came and went earlier this week. And he said, quote, "The topic of expanding the field for each championship was discussed at length, but no decision or recommendation was made. The still viable outcomes include the tournaments remaining at 68 teams or expanding the fields to either 72 or 76 teams in advance of the 2026 or 2027 championships. Time is running out for the 2026 tournament. I mean, that's just simple logistics. And if this is tabled, there was no date sort of attached to this of when the tabling was going to end, when they would bring this up again and potentially have a vote. But that window is tight and quickly running out. So it almost feels like, okay, we have dodged the 2026 bullet, but then you're looking to 2027. And I just think in the end, maybe they're listening to public outcry, maybe. That there is no real want for this and that the backlash may not be, the juice isn't worth the backlash squeeze, if you will. I think this is all going to come down to, like everything, it's just going to come down to money. If the TV partners, and we talked on Wednesday, ESPN on the women's side, and again, that we're not just talking about the men's tournament. If the men's tournament expands, the women's tournament expands to the exact same number. ESPN, who airs the entirety of the women's tournament, has said, if you want to expand, awesome. We've got all the programming space in the world. We'll show every single game. We are not giving you another dime above what we've already given you. On the men's side, the Turner folks, CBS, the TNT, True TV, all that stuff. If that package does not change and no more money is added in, and I don't know what the duration of this contract length is, but if there is no more money given, you add teams, the units currently distributed get smaller for everybody. And yes, the bigger conferences that may, hey, we got 14 in last year. Let's just bring the whole SEC and we get all 16 in this year. Yes, maybe it's offset by getting all 16 teams in, and the smaller pieces of the pie in the aggregate, we're making more money and everybody's happy. That I don't know. I think there may be some coaches that want it because, hey, those fringe guys that, do I get in the tournament? Do I not get in the tournament? Maybe that means my job security and I get to, live to see another day. I think if there are people that are wanting this and are pro this, it is ultimately a selfish decision, just from a standpoint of, this is good for me. Is this better for the event? Is it better for the game? Is it better for the consumer? No. I have said I'm torn on this, just from a standpoint of, I don't want it to expand because it is just a perfect piece of art. And it's probably gotten a little disfigured over the last 15 years, going from 64 to 65 and then stretching it to 68. That 64 was perfect. But I will be okay if look, if this is going to open the door. But again, it's like, does it really? Would Indiana State have gotten in 2 years ago as a second team? Yes. If there was 72 or 76, yes, they were right on the cusp. Would Bradley have gotten in last year with 72 or 76? I don't think so. And so it doesn't automatically change anything. And if Bradley doesn't get in, well, now we're just getting one team in, and we're getting less money than we got before. So it's like, those 8 teams, if they go to 76, it's just of those 8, you're going to get 1 or 2 more mid-majors. And it's just a matter of, does the Missouri Valley get it? And then everybody just kind of holds their nose and goes, okay, we'll take it. But for now, nothing. And we will see. Again, I just feel like the window is all but closed for 2026. We will see about 2027 when the power brokers in the game get back together and try to fix something that is most certainly not broken at this point. All right, that does it for today's edition of Morning in the Valley. Thank you to Tyler Lundblade for giving us a lot of time this morning, the Belmont guard, who, it is so hard now. I sort of took a swing and just flat missed. It is hard to realize and figure out, like, who's got time left, between the COVID years, and it just feels like, and hey, you get a JUCO exemption and this and that. It's like, guys going to court trying to get extra years. You just never know. It's not the old 4 years anymore. And so he did play his 2 years at TCU. There was a year he played 9 games, a year he played 6 games. And so he cleared that up, that, he redshirted at SMU, got a medical red shirt at at TCU. And so he has technically played just 2 years of college basketball. Has 2 years remaining. But to his point, I hope I'm not back next year because I want to go the Ben Shepherd route. And if that dude keeps shooting the ball like he did this year, he's going to have a decision to make because he is, I would say he's as good of a shooter as we've seen in the country. And I'm like, yeah, that's not hyperbole because he led America with 48.1% last year. So great young man. Called me sir one too many times. I'll get over that this weekend, but I appreciate his time today. Thank you for being with us, all of you hopping on today. If you haven't done so already, please help us out. Head over to YouTube, search out Morning in the Valley, subscribe to the show there. You'll get little notifications reminding you when we're going live. You'll get notifications when we go live. We've got full shows. We've got clips of past interviews and so on if you ever miss anything. So very much appreciate your support with that. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. And we will be back on Monday right here on Morning in the Valley.